So very good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for coming back to our Solidarity program. Thanks for tuning in. And for those of you who are here early, whilst I'm giving some commentary, some introduction, maybe you know your colleagues and maybe for the leaders, you know some of your members are joining in as well. Do drop them a reminder, send them the link over on Facebook or YouTube Live. So for those of you who have already with us, just join us. Thank you so much for making your time. Very good afternoon to everyone. Can we get Solidarity Beyond 2021 hashtag on our comments? Thank you, Anderson. Hi, Elaine, Chia, Benkian. Very nice to see you again. All right, let's move to some of our social media reminders. Okay, guys, sorry, let's go back one slide, my bad. Guys, for those of you who wants all the training program material, especially the slides, I think I reminded everyone at the very start, please do scan. So for those of you who are new, you want the slides from our panelists from their sharing session, please do scan and register, yeah? All right, moving forward to our social media reminders. Just in case you all have missed out any of our training for the last 60 plus sessions, all our trainings are uploaded on our YouTube channel, okay? So the YouTube channel, very similar to what I'm asking you all to hashtag Solidarity Beyond 2021. Okay, for those of you who have your listings, you all want to get in contact, you all want to network with each other, go join our Facebook page. Currently, we got a following of 470 plus people. It's picking up. So let's share the good energy. Whilst you are in there, please share and like the page as well. We also have a WhatsApp network group and an official Instagram page. So all is Solidarity Beyond 2021, yeah? Very easy to find. Okay, let's move towards some house rules before I introduce the speaker of the day. As for the chat session, please try to keep it clean. No vulgar languages on the comments. Try not to bomb any of the retail items or promotional items, okay? If there's any of your listings to promote, as I mentioned just now, we have our WhatsApp network group, okay, where you can promote your listings or your project over there, similar to our Facebook Solidarity page. All right. And secondly, ask as many questions as possible. This topic is quite interesting. It's quite a hot topic these days. So ask as many questions as possible. Be participative. Keep the chat room active, okay? As you keep the chat room active, you keep the speaker alive, the speaker active, and more energetic to train you as well. So let's all share our good energy in welcoming our speaker of the day, Mr. Aldrin Tan. So, of course, Mr. Aldrin Tan is the CEO, founder of Esprit Estate, and also leading us forward with our Solidarity program with ESP as a platform. So maybe Aldrin can repeat the vision part again. Hi, Aldrin.
Hey, hi. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Kai. Can hear me clearly, right?
Very clear.
Yes. And you are asking, sharing the vision of ESP. Am I right?
Yep, that's right.
All right. So I'm not sure whether we have chat, and I think we do. Everyone that is online today, you are already part of this vision where we are creating a global tech-enabled agents. It's a community that will bring the best out of everyone. And short and simple and straightforward. Quite a lot of people have asked us, how can we be part of this? Solidarity Beyond 2021 is actually a movement bringing all practitioners together and to create a community. And while that is actually a great idea, what is more important thing is this: each and everyone in this community, including you, all right, that is listening in today, be participative, and that is the first thing that each and everyone will need to do. All right, so a short vision of what ESP is all about, and today I'll be sharing on the topic of senior living facilities and catching on in Malaysia. So is it just a concept or is this a business opportunity? And Someone was actually messaging me just now. Eldrin, why would you want to share something on senior living facilities? What would that be relevant for all of us or for you that is listening in? And so which I will explain to everyone towards the end. Definitely this will be a product that will be part of your listing, all right, in a very simplistic way, where moving forward in Malaysia, there will be more senior living facilities that will be in the market. And so having a bit of a knowledge. So I'm going to share something that is quite on the surface today, where you would be able to know, where this nation is actually going in terms of senior living. All right. So so what I'm sharing to you today is also part of what we have been doing under Esprit, under the consultancy and advisory. We only do not do just the sub-sale project. There's also a consultancy division where one of the specific area that we give consultancy and advisory is actually senior living. Some of the clients that you have see over here, the 4 logos here, these were our clients. So along the way, we also learned a lot, and it's actually a very interesting thing. So for those who have been doing reading, okay, you will also notice, there's quite a lot of news about senior living over the last 2-3 years, and then there must be a reason, right? So so now the situation is such that is there really a demand? Okay, so what is the first thing that comes to your mind when you look at senior living? This will be something where you'll be looking at. Sorry, I skip slides too fast. Okay, so what we do, during our consultancy for senior living is basically we do a lot of qualitative, quantitative analysis. We do projection, and also that will lead to a business model and then recommendation to our client. Now, why I choose to show this slide is for a simple reason, because at the end of the day, how would the service provider be able to deliver such services to the consumer on the ground? So, throughout our last 3 years of senior living consultancy, we are able to know what will be the livelihood of the product that is coming into the market today. Over the last 12 months, there's a lot of developers that have actually spoke to me, and they are already in the drawing board to launch more senior living product in the market, and that will be an opportunity for all of us. Yeah, so just in case you'll be wondering why am I sharing something on the senior living facilities, that is the reason why. Now, just imagine many years ago, I remember probably about 10-12 years ago, when developers start building apartments or condotel, and then the next thing is they will tell you that, hey, you can buy, and when you buy, you will get a pretty good return because there's actually a hotel. I remember very well, probably about 2000, 2001, 2010 to 2011, if I'm not mistaken, where Best Western actually came into Malaysia. So it was actually such a quite a big thing, all right? And so now, how about senior living? How does that senior living part fit into this real estate? I will explain to you. And but before that, all right, a lot of times when we talk about senior living, this will be something that will come to your mind: old folks home and nursing home. And if you are in the state of Selangor, most of the old folks home and nursing home are actually located in PJ. Okay. And so this is the usual that we have been experiencing, old folks home. So when our loved one, grow older, and then, there'll be people sending the parents or the loved one to old folks home or even nursing home as well. And so this is the current scenario in Malaysia. But there's one thing, when you talk about senior living, there's actually a distinction between old folks nursing home and senior living. So if you just look at this statement, unlike nursing homes which focus on final stage of care, senior living promote active aging, productive living, and integration into the community. Now, I think the key word here is actually integration into the community. Now, imagine this, when you talk about care for seniors, all right, you'll be looking at about old folks home and nursing home, and ask yourself the current facilities in Malaysia in terms of old folks home and nursing home. How do these residents in either nursing home and the old folks home actually integrates with the community? Yeah, so during our consultancy, we also carry out thousands and thousands of survey, and part of the statistic, or rather the feedback when we do survey, when we ask a very specific question, majority of the people, when we ask them a question, do they think that sending their loved one to nursing home and also to old folks home, is it similar to sending them out of this community? Because yeah, they will be taken care of, but they don't integrate into the community. And this is how, through smart aging, the quality of the seniors, okay, when they are going into the golden years, will be more productive, and they are able to integrate with the community. Okay, so a new way of senior living is what we call smart aging. So if you were to Google smart aging, you will also see a lot of articles about smart aging. Okay, so these days, I'm just giving an example. You will see senior living either towards active living or independent living, which I will explain. Facilities these days are very different from the slide that you have seen, the old folks home and the nursing home. It wouldn't look like even like a nursing home or old folks home. So to give you a bit of perspective, it will be something like the education in Malaysia. Well, you have the government school, then you have a private school, right? And then you have the government hospital, then you have the private hospital. So in terms of being having a private hospital or a private school, the fees is higher, the charge is higher, you get better environment, you get more quality services. And this is where the Malaysian market is heading towards. Okay, and so who are seniors in Malaysia? Seniors in Malaysia basically are over 65 years of age. So again, if you have Google, there's various classification of what consists of people who are seniors. Some will classify those 60 and above. Some will be 65 and above. So there's two part of so-called in terms of classification of whether one is considered a senior or not. So basically, you'll be looking at either 60 or 65. Okay, and let's look at some of the articles. So again, if you have been doing reading, you have already read quite a lot of articles on senior living. And one of the things is this. In this article written in 2018, Malaysia appears to be the fastest aging nation in the world. And a lot of people are not aware of this. Yeah. Okay. And so again, you look at another article. This is somewhere in last year. By 2045, Malaysia will become an aged nation when 14% of our population are aged 65 and above. Currently, is in 2020, it is about 7 to 8%. So every 10 people or every 100 people that you come across, okay, 7 to 8% of Malaysian will be 65 and above, right? So when you look at this picture, as what the article says, we are one of the fastest growing aging nation in the world. And let's again look at the perspective. Now, if I were to ask you, okay, probably let's look at some comments. So if I were to ask you, think of a country in the world that has a lot of, a large percentage of their population that is 65 and above. Can anyone just put in the what do you call in the comments? Can you think of the country? Which country do you normally associate where its population, it has a high population in terms of ratio, percentage at 65 and above? Guys, yes, Japan. Okay, that's right, Fuza. Japan. Okay, so so that's okay. Now, let's look at the perspective of Malaysia aging in terms of the population that is 65 and above against Japan. So now this is an article done by a professor in UPM. Now you look at this between 2020 and 2046. So 26 years from now, so we are 26 or 25 years from now, Malaysia's 65 population will double from 7 to 14%. Okay, so in the next 25 years, it will double up 7 to 14%. And if this statistic doesn't give you much of an impact in terms of how you look at our population actually ages very fast, let's look at Japan. All right. So this is a statistics of population age 65 and above. If you look at the graph in front of you, on the bottom left is about 7%, and somewhere in the middle you can see about 15%. So in Japan, it took Japan 29 years for their population of 65 and above grew from 7% to 15%. And the statistic that you see just now in the article that was actually done by UPM, in Malaysia is going to be about 25 years. Yeah. So so if you look at the rate of how the population in Japan ages, Japan today is the world oldest country in Japan, where 28% of the population is older than 65. Yeah. So then are we looking into Malaysia having 28% or even more of their population, of our population that's 65? We also have to look at the birth rate. Of course, we all know that the Japan birth rate is one of the lowest in the world, right? But what is happening now is, just imagine 25 years from now, our population will grow from 7 to 15% in terms of 65 years age and above. And so this is another statistic. Where we are today is about 7 to 8% of our population that's already 65 and above. And in the space of the next 15 years, based on this projection, it will actually climb up to 13%. So there's actually a social economic impact to Malaysia in terms of the population that is aging, right? Okay, and so let's look at the current living scenario of seniors in Malaysia. And most of the time when we talk about seniors, we talk about old folks, and you'll be looking about, as what the slide earlier on showed, nursing home and old folks home. But let's look at the current living condition and what are the challenges. There are a lot of seniors who live by themselves, okay? And challenges that they face will be security, and that is one of the great concern. Number 2 will be safety, and number 3 will be loneliness. Yeah, so staying alone, and kids doesn't really visit them, and they don't really have friends. And most of the seniors that actually live alone, they will also not tend to interact with their friends or even in the society. So remember just now, one of the things about senior living is integrating the seniors, apart from giving them a more productive life during the golden years, to integrate them into the community. And that is actually very, very important. Okay, and of course, most of it will be with family, right? And the challenges with the family will be taken care by maid. This is something that is very, very common. It's a trend in Malaysia where a lot of Malaysians are using housemaid to actually take care of the elderly. And then again, also the babies as well, right? And left alone at home. So this is also a very common challenges. The third will be taken advantage of. Again, there are old folks where they live with their kids, all right, and so taken advantage of, maybe becoming part of doing the chores of taking care of the household, all right, so cooking and whatnot. And the other one will be old folks home. Yeah, so most of the old folks home generally in Malaysia, generally they are quite acceptable, because during our jobs in consultancy, so we also visited a lot of old folks home. But definitely, there's a lot of rooms for condition of old folks home to be improved in Malaysia. Yeah, and of course, one of the greater challenges will be a condition of facilities, quality of life. Yeah, so while they can be taken care of quite pretty well in terms of their daily meals, in terms of having activities, one of the quality of life is actually the mental state as well. Okay, and that is actually very important, and also dignity. All right, so imagine if you are 70, 80 years old and your kids decided to send you to old folks home, how would you feel, right? Okay, so and that is going to be a growing trend, by the way. So and of course the other one will be nursing home. Challenges of nursing home will be very hospital-like condition. Yeah, so those who are in nursing home, definitely they need a bit of a higher level of care. Let's say, for example, like it could be a stroke patient, a dementia patient, and and most of the facilities in terms of nursing home in Malaysia, by far and large, it's like it's mostly set up within a residential house. Most of the facilities, of course, there are some hospital like Columbia Hospital will also have a nursing home, and generally the condition is very hospital-like. So while it is a nursing home, but then they are not there to be treated for major illnesses. Yeah, so that also is a challenge to a lot of people who are living in nursing home, and quality of care services as well. So this is one of the major challenge in terms of people living in nursing home, and I think in old folks home as well. So it's with the family and also by themselves. The quality of care services, either you are being cared of, if you happen to be in a nursing home, you happen to be an old folks home, or for a matter of fact, if you are 80, 90 years old and you're living with your family, the quality of care services. Now, this quality of services of care is not just limited to, well, okay, if you fall sick a little bit and, someone send you to the hospital and whatnot, and your 3 meals are taken care. Actually, it involves a lot more than that. Okay, so these are actually some of the survey. Yeah? These are real statistics where we carry out about 3,000 over survey that we have done, where we ask Malaysian. Okay, so based on the certain sampling. And so this is how the type of services currently engaged by Malaysian. So as what I mentioned just now, most of the Malaysian will take care of their older folks using a domestic help, which is a housemaid. Okay, so out of the 3,000 over people, almost 55% of the people that we surveyed use domestic help. And I know and I believe everyone can actually concur with that. Okay, you probably could have already maybe experienced it, maybe you have seen it, and only about 12% are using private nurse. Private nurse is not cheap. You probably cost about 5 to 8,000 for a live-in nurse. Yeah, that works about 5 days. So can you imagine if, let's say, your loved one happened to be bedridden and you do not use the maid, and you want them to be taken care better, and you engage a private nurse, and you will probably need 2 nurses on rotation basis. That will cost you about 10 to about 12,000. And of course, in terms of nursing home, 18% will choose to send their loved one to nursing home, and so is hospital assisted living and others. So this is just to give you all a bit of a perspective. So currently in Malaysia, most of the Malaysian, when they take care of their older folks, will be housemaid. Okay, in fact, in Malaysia, housemaid seems to be a superwoman, from gardening, washing the car, taking care of the baby, washing the floor, and cooking, and taking care of the elderly. Wow. Okay, definitely that's not the right way. Okay, so the cost of senior living varies. So again, to give you a bit of perspective, what are the options in Malaysia? You can have from a lower cost to something that is a higher cost, which is about 7,000 per month. Okay, so there's also a lot of government sponsored, say Rumah Kebajikan, Again, condition, those that we have visited are not the best that you will want, all right, to for a senior to actually be placed in such condition. Okay, but then again, not only in Malaysia, it happens all over the world. So so if you are looking at it, how much would it cost for 15 years of quality senior living? Just imagine, all right, at the age of 65, okay, and the average lifespan of Malaysian is about 70 plus. So if you're looking at between 65 to 80 years, how much would it cost? And it's actually can be quite very astronomical. Okay, so so if you're looking at something that is more of a slightly better condition, as the previous slide show, which is about 7,000 per month, and if you're looking at about 15 years, and at an inflation rate of 2.5%, you'll be looking at about almost about 1.5 million. So that is huge. That is astronomical. And so think about it. Either today you are 20 years, 30 years, or you're 50 years, or 55, 60s. And if you want to have a quality senior living, yeah, the word here is actually quality senior living. You'll probably need about up to 1.5 million. So that is almost equivalent to sending your child to university, all right, in overseas, and also throughout the private school, private high school, and university will probably cost you about 1.5 million as well. And one of the saddest thing that I observe, in Malaysia is I'm sure a lot of people here that who are parents, and especially, and I'm sure you work very hard, and you build a family, and you have all these imagine how many appointments you need to make to earn that kind of money so that you can send your kids to overseas. Then whether ask yourself, what do we do, all right, for ourselves in terms of at the age of, let's say, retirement of 60, 65, up to let's say 80 years. A good 15 years itself, the cost is as what you can see over here. Okay, so as we age, this is what is happening, all right? We will need more care services. So, so if you look at the bottom left, independent living, and then on the right, assisted living. So basically, independent living will be something of facilities where it caters for seniors who are still relatively active, all right, that can still at a certain stage take care of themselves. And as that actually diminishes and more care services is needed, then it will be a natural progression into assisted living. Of course, the further progression from assisted living, you will already know where we will be. Okay, so that's why companies like Nirvana are making a lot of money. Yeah. So now you look at in terms of senior living, there is also a huge opportunity for service provider in Malaysia. Yeah. Okay. So and as the nation ages, this is what is needed. Improvement are needed to increase the quality of seniors' life, and this is done through smart aging. Okay, so what is smart aging? Yeah, so so we talk about senior living. What is it all about? Unlike just ordinary old folks home and nursing home. So what is smart aging? So basically, take a moment. You just read. Smart aging is basically innovation, either in public or private sector. And the key word is to improve the life through senior living by creating an environment that enhance the mental health as well as the physical care of seniors. So in the statistic, in the survey that we have done, and the one that I showed the statistic, majority of the Malaysian will take care of the old folks, all right? Mostly towards physical care. For example, maid taking care of the older folks, am I right? To make sure that things are okay. So these are what we call physical care. But how about mental health? Okay, you cannot improve a person's life without also improving the mental health as well, right? So, so this is what smart aging is all about, and there are actually two parts of it in terms of smart aging. Number one is the hardware components and the software components. So now, if you look at the hardware components, I'm sure you also come across developer over the last 3-4 years that launch property and they say this is assisted living where the toilet floor is flush, the door is wider so that the wheelchair can go through. You don't really have steps, and then the lift will be actually wider and deeper as well. And so you have all these what you call features, physical features or specification that actually helps seniors maybe who are a bit immobile to be able to live in more comfortably. Am I right? So this is what we call the hardware component. Okay, and so this is something that is a tangible environment. So this is not something new. Developer has done that. Personally, I have yet to come across any developer that actually built a condo, let's just say, and they have all this hardware that is supposed to give old folks a better living condition. I have not seen one that is being very successful. Okay. If you come across any, you may want to share with me. Of course, the other important part will be the software components, and this is always an intangible environment. So, so when you talk about smart aging, the two components, number one is mental health, number two is physical care. And what is lacking in Malaysia today is actually the mental health of that. While you have a pretty good nursing home and old folks home, personally, I feel the mental health part of it can be really improved. Okay, there's a lot of rooms for improvement. Yeah, and so in terms of a senior living component, there are actually two parts of it: assisted living and also independent living. So, so when you talk about smart aging, you talk about senior living. Then there are two major components. Even if you do reading, you will come across these two as well. So what is assisted? What is independent living? Assisted living is basically a long-term senior care option that provides personal care support, services such as meal, medication, management, bathing, dressing, transportation. And basically, this comes with higher care services. Again, to put things into perspective, this is, this is like in a very layman's term, a higher quality of care services of nursing home. Yeah. So assisted living is towards a nursing home. That is that comes with a better care services and targeting people who are less mobile. So, like I say, those who are stroke patient, dementia. Then that will be the component of senior living under smart aging, and this is called assisted living. So this is actually a component itself. So for a lot of senior living provider in Malaysia, this will be the one of the two components that they will look at. And the other one, before that. So what are the services under this assisted living? Will be nursing care services, as what you see over here, will be meal services, will be living support services, yeah, all right, and also health management services, and of course, lastly will be activities. So again, mental health and assimilating them back to the community. That is actually one of the key in terms of senior living, in terms of smart aging. Yeah. So as I said over here, in Malaysia, while the physical care services can be quite pretty all right, quite at a acceptable level, the mental health of it is one that I personally feel is severely lacking. Yeah, but of course, that it comes with a cost. Yeah. So independent living is a resident, it's like a retirement care facility that creates and support active seniors community. And generally, it comes with the lower care services. So in a very general term, if you look at senior living facilities, quite very often you'll come across these two components because that is actually a natural progression. It's like education. You will send your kids to preschool, then after that to kindergarten, preschool, then to primary, and naturally it will progress to high school, and then it will progress to college and universities. Am I right? So the smart way, so to speak, in terms of senior living, will be a senior living facilities that actually consists of these two components. So independent, when the seniors are more active, and naturally, whether you like it or not, eventually they will be less mobile, and then there will be continuation of senior living care, then moving towards assisted living. So this is what senior living is all about. That is generally, in short, these two major components. So in terms of independent living services, you will get living support, you will get health management, yes, event activities that will keep the mental health healthy, right? And living consultation. So this is the part that is actually very, very important in terms of consultation, in terms of healthcare, in terms of mental state, yeah, in terms of, let's say, could be wellness as well. So this is the part where, bear in mind, seniors who are still relatively active. And the important thing is also the community as well. Okay, so if you look at a couple of years ago, it's probably of 3 to 4 years ago, where a lot of senior living operator or wanted to go into senior living, they will always try to model after the Australian model. Am I right? And the Australian model, basically, in terms of, they have something like almost like a resort. And quite many years ago, basically, to be able to live in there, you must be a senior as a certain classification. So in short, while everything is very nice, yeah, it can be even located next to a golf course and whatnot. It's like living in a resort. Now, one of the things, the recent studies by the Australian is such that they also notice that when you put a lot of seniors together in a community, well, that is good, because at the end of the day, you will be able to interact within your same age group. They've also found out that that may not be the best environment. All right, because seniors will also want to interact with, let's say, their children and grandchildren as well. So the Australian models, some of the Aussies that's running senior living are also moving towards a community that is not just within the seniors age group, but also age group from younger as well within the family. So that again will bring them and integrate them into the community. The community itself is not just about within the seniors. All right, you're talking about the back to the society, so to speak, right? Okay, and so how much would it cost when you look at the typical nursing home in PJ? Those with low dependency ranges between 2,000 plus to 3,000. Okay, averagely, yeah, and these are the services that you can see on the screen. Some will be medium dependency, is about 3 to 4,000. Yeah, and higher dependency will be about 3,000 plus as well. Okay, so averagely, if we talk about nursing home in PJ, ranges between 3,000 up to about 5,000. So that is the average bracket in terms of the fees. And so there are quite a plenty around in PJ. And part of the reason, of course, is PJ is, if you look at it in terms of the demographic, PJ is a town that has been around for 50, 60 years, I believe. So the population age group has also grown older in terms of the ratio of the population. And naturally, of course, you also have hospital over there. So the environment is such that also in terms of location as well, quite strategic location. So the environment is such that, there's a reason why you see quite a lot of nursing homes and also old folks home in PJ. Yeah, especially towards PJ Old Town. So look at the long-term cost, all right? So if you are talking about having your next 15 years of golden years between the age of 65 to 15, let's say today, if you are 65 years old, all right, and you want to go into a smart aging senior living facilities, this will be the next 5 years, you'll be looking at about 180,000. The second 5 years will be about 186, and then the last 5 years, we'll be looking at about 200. Okay, so all in all, it's actually almost 500,000, yeah, for the next 15 years. So the biggest question is, are you prepared? Okay, I'm talking about having a better quality of golden years. Okay, 15 years. So, but what if you are much younger today? Okay, and And let's say in 30 years from now, okay, you will be 65. Okay, for those who are listening who are in the 30s, then you'll be looking at this figure of 326, and the next 15 years, 30 years from now, you'll be looking at about 1/million. Yeah, so again, think about it, all right? Think about how can you ensure that you have a quality life throughout, when you're in the golden years, and that definitely come at the cost. There's also a study here in Malaysia that the cost of your senior living is going to cost a lot more than sending your kids to through high school and also through university as well. Okay, and so there are 4 factors to achieve smart aging. Hiroyuki, this is a professor, and he's a pioneer in active aging business in Japan. So remember, we are talking about software. Software is more of like services other than the physical part of it. And one part of it is actually the mental health. Okay, just to share with everyone. So this is what in one of his paper that I actually gone through. There are 4 parts of it. Of course, the first one is cognitive stimulation, physical exercise, nutrition, socialization. I'm not going to go too deep into this. There's a reason why I'm sharing this because it's something that is related to our work as well as a negotiator. But for everyone interested, of course, stimulation therapy of the brain is highly important because that will reduce the risk of developing dementia later in life. Okay, so it's always good to keep your brain active. Yeah. Okay, and then the other one is physical exercise. It increase balance and stability, and that will reduce death from fall. All right, among seniors is one of the major contribution. Okay, and so the other one will be socialization. That is highly important. So again, if you look at the statistic that I've shown, majority of the Malaysian will use a housemaid to take care of their older folks. Okay, so look at in terms of the mental state. Yeah, yes, they can be quite pretty well taken care of, but then in terms of mental state, in terms of, let's say, socialization, is it enough? Generally, for me, I do not think so. All right, and so socialization itself will reduce the stress and psychological problem such as depression and anxiety. And also in terms of nutrition, one that is highly important is to maintain healthy weight, stay energized, and lower the risk of chronic health. So part of the smart aging in layman's term is actually the mental health. And that is the one that will really, really increase the quality of life apart from the physical care. And so as the as a nation ages, there is definitely a need of quality senior living through smart aging. And so it's actually a very natural progression. Can you imagine, say, 60 years ago, someone were to come out with, let's just say, a private hospital where you have to pay through your nose, while the Malaysian healthcare system is almost fully subsidized by the government. When you go to government hospital, it's pretty much you don't really pay a lot. Okay. And they are also not too bad as well, government hospital. But you see, when the quality of life of a population in the country improve, all right, let's say GDP goes up, income level goes up, so people will have a demand of something that is of a so-called better quality. So thus that explains why you have private hospital that start mushrooming about 20, 30 years ago. Yeah. And so ask yourself, touch wood, if you happen to fall sick, what would be your first choice? Government hospital or private hospital? Yeah, they can be equally good. All right, but definitely for those who opt for private hospital, you will expect that while you pay at a higher cost, you will expect a better services. Am I right? So again, it's the same as education as well. While we have the government school, then naturally probably about 30 years ago as well, 30, 40 years ago, I think 30 over years ago, then you have this private school. And why would you send your kids to private school? Government school are not good. Not for you to answer, not for me to answer. You already know the answer. Okay, so you think about it. So in terms of old folks home and nursing home today, yeah, and in terms of Malaysian population, that is fast growing in terms of the ratio of percentage of the population that's above 65 years. And articles, and if you read statistics as well, Malaysia, as I mentioned earlier, is one of the fastest growing aging nation in the world. And so the big question mark is there a demand, all right, for smart living, for a good senior living facilities where people do not really mind, all right, older folks do not really mind to pay a lot more so that they have a good quality of life before they get on to their next stage of journey. And you see, yeah, even the statistic that we have done, the thousand of statistic that we have, the survey that we have done, out of the 5,000 over people that we have surveyed, based on the right sampling. So the statistic shows that the survey shows that the one that is going to make decision, the age group of the people that is going to make decision in sending their loved one, the older folks, either to typical nursing home or assisted living and whatnot, will be at the age of between 35 to 45. Okay, so and that really makes sense. All right, if you're at the age of 35 to 45, very likely your parents is already 60 plus to 70 plus, right? So who is the one that is really going to be the decision maker? Well, of course, the older folks can, but based on our survey, age dates 35 to about 43 or 44 will be that age group today. All right, that will be determining where their older folks go to. Either they engage private nurses at home, or they use a housemaid, or they send them to a very good care services of, let's say, senior living facilities with smart aging, and they don't mind paying, all right, for their parents, as how the parents has been paying for them through private school and going to overseas. So you see the cycle of it. So definitely, based on that, there's actually a fast-growing demand for better senior living facilities. So just to give you again a bit of perspective. Let's say in terms of okay, for example, a developer, all right, quite a lot of developer actually approach me and say, hey, Eldrin, what do you think this area can do a senior living or not? That area can do a senior living or not? And then you see from a lot of developers' perspective, they will look at connectivity, they will look at the location, they will look at whether there's nearby hospital or not. This is from their perspective, okay? But the most important thing is this, how about the consumer? Okay, who are the consumer here? The consumer here are two groups of people. The older folks, 65 and above, because they are the one that's going to be the one living in. And the other age group is about 35 to 45. Okay, for example, who is a consumer of private school, primary private school? Will be your kids in primary. Let's say he's a standard one, he's going to go standard one. But who is the one that's going to decide? Will be you, am I right? So you see where this positioning come into with respect of real estate that is having a senior living facilities. And then why do I share this with you is because instead of just looking at what is a physical facilities, flush toilet and you have wider doors and things like that, those are very important. The one missing link is actually the consumer behavior. So the consumer behavior here, you have to look at how the age group of 35 to 45 today will look into a senior living and what is their consideration if they were to send their parents to a senior living facility. So the statistic over here, again, this is a survey done by Esprit. All right. So we asked a series of questions. So in terms of level of importance of the 5 category, now most of the people that we surveyed, based on the right sampling, most of the people when it comes to decision making, it will be personal care. All right. What is a personal care? How good is the quality of the personal care? Give you again another perspective. You want to send your kids to a private school, then you will visit many private school. Am I right? So the most important thing you'll probably be thinking is, if it's going to be a private school with international syllabus, your expectation is there must be teachers from overseas. Am I right? Rather than you send your kids to a private school, but all the is overseas syllabus, but all the teachers are Malaysian. Not that Malaysian are lesser off. All right, not that Malaysians are not able to carry out the job, but then again, this is how people consume, right? Again, when you buy coffee, do you pay 12 ringgit for Starbucks, or you pay 350 for a coffee shop coffee? They are both equally good coffee. Tastes different, but different market. So, so in terms of consumer decision, when it comes to senior living, personal care is the one that is top on the list. So they would like to know what are the personal cares that is provided based on the price, and also who will be carrying out, who is the senior living, what you call operators. So that is one. Two, of course, will be cost. Yeah. So the most important first and two, personal care and cost, that is actually you will also think that it makes logical sense. Am I right? However, if you look at this, don't look at the third level of importance or the fourth, but you look at fifth, location. Developers are selling real estate. The first thing that when we sell real estate is always about location, location, location. Am I right? So a couple of years back, I can see a shift in terms of developers look at developing or want to develop a senior living facilities. You know, in terms of the importance of location in their decision making has also shifted as well. About 4 or 5 years ago, I remember a lot of developers say, "Hey, Aldrin, we should maybe have one that is, you know, probably in Gotong Jaya in Genting Highland, because the air is good, all right, the weather is cool, and I'm sure a lot of people would want to retire that, you know, in that kind of environment. Or maybe you should have one that is close to the nature. You have a waterfall, or maybe by the seaside." Yeah. So now you think about it. Based on your current, let's say today for you, if you are in the 40, 50 today, and you try to visualize where would you want to retire? Okay, you're probably thinking that, hey, maybe by the sea, maybe by the nature, or maybe by, let's say, on the higher ground, so you get cooling, what you call temperature. Yes, naturally, this is what it is. But then again, that may not be what you want, because it will depends on your condition. What if, you know, in the next 5 to 10 years, and touch wood, you become less mobile, then you need care services, am I right? And you need your family support as well, and you want to be also closer to your children. So then, is such location relevant? May not be. So that's the reason why, based on our survey, to most of the Malaysian, okay, when they ask them a specific question in terms of what would you take into consideration in determining where would you send you know, your loved one into a senior living, location is not that important. But that doesn't mean it can be out of the world, or it can be you know, somewhere that's very strategic. So understanding the consumer behavior is very important, and that's why I keep telling developers, you know, you have to look into what is a software rather than just hardware, because hardware basically, anyone and everyone can just come up with the hardware and translate the cost to the buyer. Am I right? You want to have a better design, you know, better physical specification. It's all about costing, packaging, pricing, offload to buyers. Yeah. So how about the personal care as well? The cost as well. Okay, in terms of personal care and the community, right? So again, if you were to send your kids to international school, private school. Many years ago, I have a friend who come and tell me, "Hey, Aldrin, I want to send my kids to a private school." And I asked him why. Well, private school, there's a lot of rich kids, then so that they can get some connection, so that next time when they come out, then they have a business opportunity. Yes, I wouldn't say it's wrong, okay, but you know, that is the way the decision making is made. So the community of the student is also very important. So this is something, a very interesting statistic that not many people are aware. Okay, and so in terms of the business model, Okay, in terms of senior living, as I said, there are two parts of it: assisted living, independent living. For independent living, of course, the ownership model. Okay, the survey we have done as well. Now, the thing is this: if a developer today were to build a senior living, do they sell? And if they sell, do people really buy? In independent living, yes, there is a great likelihood. And independent living cannot be an independent component by itself. It must have the assisted living because that is the natural progression of how our life is. As we grow older, we need to have a higher level care of services. Am I right? So, I've actually come across a developer that actually developed a block of condo that is positioned as an independent living. The hardware are basically as what a seniors will want to live in. The only missing component is assisted living. So as a result, while he positioned that as a senior living, independent, what do you call a living, okay, and obviously he will target people who are 50, 60 years, am I right? However, most of his purchasers are 30 over years. Now, why is that so? Not because there's no demand for such independent living, because one of the challenges that he faces is this. While he positioned that block of condo as an independent living, the consumer who come and take a look and say, hey, physically it's good, location is good, the missing component is assisted because in that block of condo, there is no assisted living component. Yeah, so while he still get to sell the property, yeah, sales is not pretty. Sales is quite pretty good, but the target group is different from what he has actually planned for. So then again, the concept of that senior living of independent living, is that successful? The answer is not very successful, but sales are there. Okay, and most of the independent living that we also come across in terms of during our survey, most of the people do not want to rent or lease. Okay, they'll prefer to have an ownership model. What you have in Malaysia now, there are some that is go on what you call leasing as well. Before you go into the senior living or rather what you call the independent living, you'll probably pay about 300,000, 500,000, one lump sum. So basically, that is actually buying a lease. All right, so and not so much about ownership. So based on our survey, it's actually ownership model, and normally independent living services are lower care services. Is not a nursing home independent. This part has to be very clear. This is not a nursing home, and it must have the element of community where people who are interested in such living, independent living, will know that the community will be there. And of course, you look at the other ends in terms of assisted living, it's more of rental and leasing. Now, assisted living is, for example, I give you a very layman terms example. If let's say today you are less mobile and you need a higher care services, you will need to check into a nursing home. You cannot be saying that I want to buy a nursing home unit. Am I right? You will rather rent because that nursing part of journey may not be very long, right? Because naturally, progressively, then we will be going on the next level of journey, right? So, so if you look at assisted living, the business model, okay, based on our qualitative, quantitative analysis, based on the survey, and the statistic shows that the demand is one where people will rather rent, yeah, and it has to provide a high care services. Okay, and it's a nursing services as well that is important, and again community as well. You notice at the bottom is always a community because this is senior living itself. Unlike the traditional model of just old folks home and nursing home, is about integration back to the community, so that the mental state and the mental health of the residents of assisted and independent living will be better, and that is how then they can have a better quality. Okay, so then from the perspective of real estate negotiator, how would that be able to how can you even monetize, okay, or even close a deal of a senior living facilities? Now, based on the jobs that we are doing, and also based on the client that has been speaking to us, developers. Uh, in 2019, it was it was like very hot. Of course, 2020 pandemic, but recently over the last 2-3 months as well. Developers again start talking to me. There will be senior living facilities that will be in the market that is for sale, and either you can sell to an end user, okay, the independent living part of it, or you can even sell to investor, because some of the packaging of all these senior living facility is such that developer build, they will sell the unit, maybe 2 bedrooms, they will already fit in senior living operators, where when they sell to an investor, the investors will lease back by the senior living operators, and that's how the business model is from the perspective of real estate developer to the end user or to investor. So another word is this. This is another product that will come into play in the Malaysian real estate market, where it will be totally relevant to you as a real estate negotiator on the ground, and this is going to be the next product that is going to be in your portfolio, apart from the usual properties that you have been selling over the years. Okay, so lastly, I will end the slide. Okay, it is important that you increase your quality of life in your golden years. Okay, and this is our Tun M. Okay, when you look at this photo, don't look into politics. Just look at a loving couple, and that is all that is needed. So thank you very much, everyone. This is today's sharing. Okay, I'm not sure whether there are any question that came in. I think there's actually a lot of comments. Silent mental diseases, Alzheimer, Parkinson, yes, right, rampant. Insurance companies should cover this in the medical cards. Yes. Now, the cost is high. Am I right? The government is also taking initiative as well. All right, to some of the institutions in terms of what you call looking into the welfare of seniors. Yes, there should be an insurance company that come up with insurance, what you call policy for senior living. I think that is very much needed. We spoke to some of the underwriter of insurance company. One of the things is the premium. So there is likelihood there's a product where you can start buy a policy at the age of 20 plus, just like education fund as well. You have to start young, means your premium goes down. Am I right? You can't be starting at the age of 25 to buy a policy and expect the insurance company to cover you for the next 15 years. We all know how it works. Premium will be super high. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. If there's no other further question, thank you very much, everyone. Looks like we'll be able to back to business. I'm sure your company will have already got the meaty letter. If not, I'm very sure that latest by Monday they will be getting it. So I wish you all the best. Seize the opportunity. We have been locked down for almost 3 months. It's crazy. Imagine the pent-up demand. In my Facebook page today, I asked a question: are we ready to be back in business to capture the pent-up demand? If you are, and you have been doing what you need to do over the last 3 months, I cannot guarantee you, but I'm very confident, because I myself am very excited. I'm very confident. Between now and throughout the end of this year, business will be good. Okay, so stay safe, everyone. It's still dangerous out there, and have a good day and have a good weekend. All right, thank you very much, everyone.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Aldrin Tan. So, ladies and gentlemen, we can see all the comments coming in. I think it was a very interesting topic. So, novel concept or business opportunity, I believe you all can look forward to this. The briefing was good. If you all have not heard of it yet, I'm sure now you are well aware. There's much more readings to do on it online as well. So, this is something to look at. It is market that is emerging. It's a market that is happening. So keep your eyes out for it. And ladies and gentlemen, we will be back tomorrow in solidarity at 3 p.m. For those of you who are still around, please do support us by giving us some of your feedback so that we can continuously improve our trainings. Okay, so for tomorrow, we will start with our first volume of residential real estate. Commercial, we have went through volume 1. Industrial, we are at volume 3, and we will kick off our residential volume 1 by one of our younger, more talented agent called Jasper and Anderson. All right. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned and see you tomorrow at 3 p.m. in Solidarity. Thank you all.